much, Department of Tourism Studies, for inviting me and congratulating you for conducting this workshop on a much needed topic, right? UGC NET JRF. This is something which has, taken a great hype, especially after we have seen articles and reports that, NET is going to be compulsory, PhD is going to be compulsory in order to make your academic career successful. So definitely, this is a much needed workshop, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity so that I can share my experience with all of you who are present here. And I'll make sure that for like next 40-50 minutes till the time we are here, we are interacting. This is going to be a fun learning experience for all of us, and we take back home something valuable, something knowledgeable, uh, for you, for all of you, and for me it is going to have be an exceptional experience. So I will just like to share my presentation with all of you. Okay, I hope this presentation is visible and my voice is audible to everyone who have spared their time for this presentation, for this session. Okay, so before, yes, everyone. Okay, fine. So before I start this particular session, I think this is going to be an important question which I will be asking all of you who have, spared your precious time. You have, I think someone's mic is on. If Okay, thank you very much. So this is a question which I think I'm going to ask all of you, since we say that time is money, specifically if you have invested or you're dealing in crypto. So we understand how important time is. So even spending 40 minutes for a session, for a workshop is precious, right? So if I ask you, why should you spend next 40 minutes with me? Can I get some quick answers? You can unmute yourself and you can give your answers. You can be definitely as honest as you can be. Okay, I think you will be getting certificates for attending the lecture if I'm not wrong. But anyways, now since I believe that all of you have come here to listen to the experience that I have, that I have cleared JRF in 2018. But there is a story behind it. We definitely, as a as a being, as a human person, I cleared it in the third attempt. Despite being somebody who was doing exceptionally well, who was brilliant in masters, I could not clear my JRF, and even for that matter, net. Even for that matter, I could not clear net even in my first attempt. So that intellectually inclined bubble got pricked when in the first attempt I could not clear net. Then I give my second attempt, and in that second attempt I created own notes and worked on some of the areas, and again in that second attempt I was only able to clear net. And then like half happy, half sad, I was in a situation wherein I was like, now this is going to be the last time that I will be taking up this exam, and third time is going to be the last time. If I do not clear JRF, it's okay. I'll stick to my job. I was working at that time in 2017. So I said that, okay, fine, I will stick to my job and I will, make my career into this particular field. I was working in a startup. So then I gave my third attempt in GRF, and then I cleared it. And after clearing the exam, I realized that definitely it was happiness to clear GRF. You are going to get fellowship for studying, for pursuing research. It's a great deal. But what stayed with me was the experience, was the journey that I had in last 2 3 years of giving those attempts, of preparing for the exam, and simultaneously, working in my organization. So I think some part of that experience I would like to share with all of you today. And I hope that this will be useful for you. This will be valuable for you, especially if you are preparing for this exam, and you're going to appear for this exam. So experience is knowledge, as Albert Einstein say. All the rest is information. You will get loads of information on internet. If you type just UGC NET JRF tourism, you will have 50,000 results, 1 lakh, more than lakh results on the internet, on the Google. But what we are here, or for what purpose we are here, is to share the experience which is going to help you to avoid those mistakes which possibly I had made in my first or second attempt. Okay, so in the next for the next 40 45 minutes, we are going to land on some destinations, like some small milestones. So for the first part, we are going to do what is this all about, what is tourism administration and management as a subject, right? What is UGC NET JRF? I think you must be little of it be versed with what it is, but I will just try to give a briefer overview of it. The next is when you can appear for the exam, when the exams happen. The next question, or you can say the most important question, is why you need to take this exam. What is the reason which is triggering you to go for this particular exam, to take up this exam? Remember this, guys, that this question is going to remain with you as far as your life is. Sometimes you ask it yourself, like why I want to do this, and sometimes the interviewer is going to ask the same question to you, that why. So when I was appearing for PhD interview, this was the first question that I was being asked: why do you want to do research? Okay, so before that, I would advise that you ask this question to yourself: why you want to appear for this exam. The next milestone is going to be how. Once you have, you got to know the syllabus, when the exam happens, when you can appear, why you want to do is, the next is going to be how you need to clear these exams. I know this in the last presentation which Priya Krishna sir had given, it was very comprehensive, macro overview, micro overview. It was beautifully presented. Today, again, as I say, that experience is different. So again, this how is going to be derived from my experience, how you can help for the people who are taking up this exam for the first time, and for the people who are taking up this exam for a second, third time. And then the last question, or the last milestone of this presentation, will be what happens after. As God has disabled a function in human bodies, like we can't see future, right? We don't know what is going to be the consequence of our action. And for that, we talk to people who have walked that path. And so here I am. I'll give you a brief overview of what happens after you clear this exam. If you clear NET, if you clear JRF, what happens afterwards? So this exam is not the final destination. There's a lot more to it. So today we are going to cover it up. So start with what, uh, as we say that this exam particularly is being conducted by UGC, right? So there are a few things that I would like to highlight here, assuming that some of the things you already know, that this is for assistant professorship. This exam is being conducted. So there are a few things that initially this particular UGC NET exam till 2011-12, it was mostly in the form of descriptive answers. You had to write down the answers, like proper answers. But after that, it started in the multiple MCQ format. Recently in 2018, after June 2018, earlier it used to be like paper 1, 2, and 3. Now we have only paper 1 and paper 2. So paper 2, a few changes in the syllabus have been made. Uh, Bits and pieces of a few things have been added in the syllabus. Apart from that, the format is relatively same, which was there, in the before 2018 when the MCQs were there. So not much has changed. In fact, when I gave the exam in 2017, there were some topics which were not mentioned in the syllabus, but they used to be asked. But what happened afterwards is that it is being clearly mentioned in the syllabus, and what I have seen is if you are there to the syllabus, you're going to clear it no matter what. Okay, so in this particular UGC net, the tourism, which we will refer as TAM, okay, Tourism Administration and Management, this bad habit of giving short forms to everything. So it's just TAM, and this is the 93 or the 93rd subject code. It is. So coming up with what it is, right? We know tourism administration. A lot of times people say that tourism is mostly about, you go for a vacation, you go for some leisure activity. That's what tourism is. But when I see the syllabus over and over again, I realize that no, tourism is, I think all of you would agree to me that tourism is an amalgamation of different industries, different sectors. Hospitality, say it, environment, you say any service sector, you say tourism is an amalgamation of these activities. And the syllabus reflects that. And that is why it is important that you make yourself very comfortable, very aware about what the syllabus is. So in the unit 1, it is basically about the basics of tourism, wherein you have who is a traveler, travelers, excursionists, visitors. Okay, what are the typologies being given by different researchers? Then apart from that, what are the basic dynamics of tourism industry as a whole? What are the different tourism organizations? When did they set up? What are their committees, members? All that thing is being included in unit 1. So this is a very, very basic, I would say, a base, a foundation unit for the entire syllabus. The next comes is the unit 2, which is basically about the world geography. Okay, so herein they ask you questions related to climate, related to weather, related to IATA codes, related to geographical, locations. So this is going to be, you have airfare calculations also herein. So definitely this requires somewhat of extra efforts. Tourism and environment, if you see, in the recent times, it has become a topic of discussion, right? We talk of climate change, we talk of forest act, environmental act. So these all things needs to be covered in this particular unit. Then in unit 3, a lot of people, a lot of students who appear, they say that unit 3 is so comprehensive. It's so much to do in this particular unit. So it's tourism resources and products of India. Okay, so you have like you need to do different kind of wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, and beaches, different culture, dances, and all that. A lot of thing is there. Now, if you see the syllabus, you'll be like, oh my god, this is like it itself makes a paper in itself. But there is a crack to it, right? Now what I say is, if your level of awareness is higher, you know what happens. Litti chokha is famous at which place, right? Kathakali is a dance form of which state? If you have these level of awareness higher, you are able to do this particular unit very easily. And that's why I consider that people who are more into traveling and who love traveling, who love exploring new destinations, they know better than what a person who's preparing for this JRF. For this particular unit, your level of awareness works a lot. Okay. The next is, so in forms of tourism, you have Buddhism tourism, niche tourism, special interest tourism areas. So those are going to be important things to be covered here. The next is unit 4, which is all about transportation, air transport, water transport. So for instance, in the rail transport, these questions would be asked that Palace on Wheels, what is the itinerary of Palace on Wheels, when it was introduced, right? Luxury trains, which of this is not a luxury train, right? And this is not only limited to Indian content, sorry, Indian context. It is also related to the European context also. Okay, so transportation is another is covered in Unit 4. In Unit 5, it is travel agency and tour operations, which is being widely, what is the type of itinerary, circle trip, open jaw trip, visas, M visa, business visa, the new regulations about these visas. So this is what is being covered in Unit 5, which is more about the travel agencies, OTAs, traditional travel agencies, how does tour operators work and all. Right, so this is being covered in Unit 5. Next is Unit 6, which is a basics of hotels and hospitality along with food and beverage. A lot of times people say that, see, we have, done masters in tourism and we do not have much idea of hospitality unit. Unit 6 is very difficult to cover. Now, I say that this is basically about, they ask you the basics of hospitality and hotels and food and beverage. Right. And so, for instance, accommodation categories. On what basis these accommodation categories are given, or who is a sous chef, right? So there are some of the technical terms which needs to be remembered. But apart from that, they do not ask you a detailed version of how things work in. The next is Unit 7, which is about tourism marketing. Now, I will also discuss it in the later slide that till Unit 1 to Unit 6, most of the things are about learning. There are things which you can't change. So you understand and you learn. But it is after Unit 7 to 10, that you need to understand the concepts, right? You can't just say that, okay, fine, just leave it. We'll cover 6 7 units and we'll clear the exam. No, it doesn't happen. It is going to play against you later in the later stages. Okay, so Unit 7, you have tourism marketing, wherein, 4 P's of marketing. Then apart from that, how service marketing is, circle models, destination image development. So this particular unit again holds importance if you want to pursue research in tourism and hospitality. Okay. The next is Unit 8, which is about tourism planning and policy and tourism economics. It is broadly about the 5 year plans. If you guys know, or if you remember, there were 5 year plans being made, and in those 5 year plans, certain versions were there for tourism, certain policies were there for tourism and transport. So it is related to that, the new tourism policy or the national tourism policy. How did it change? What were the things that were included? So this is basically about those 5 year plans and the tourism policies that came afterwards. Okay, Unit 9. Now, Unit 9 and Unit 10, a very interesting conversation I was having with one of my colleagues when I was in MBA. So, like, statistics is very difficult. Research methodology, statistics. A lot of time you don't understand why T test is being used, why F test is being used, and let's just leave it. Let's just leave it and let's just cover the entire other units. They are relatively simple, but data analysis and research methodologies is not our cup of tea. We used to, have these conversations, but again, I would say, if you want to do research, if you want to pursue PhD, you need to get hold of statistics and research at this stage, because this is going to be there in your coursework again. Okay. The next is Unit 10, which is organizational behavior. It is, you can say, a bit of management is being included herein. We have motivations, we have theories of motivations, theories of leadership, accountancy. There are a few topics on accountancy. A lot of times people say that we are not from commerce background. Can we just leave accountancy? And I say, you don't have to be well versed in accountancy. You just need to go through certain topics, and that will ultimately help you in clearing those questions. Because as Priya Krishna sir had said, it is almost about 5 to 7 questions that makes a difference, right? And you never know, these questions could play in your favor or just stop you. So, coming ahead with our next milestone, when? So, I think some of the things which I have mentioned here, it's been, you already know it, that exam is being happened biannually. In every 6 months, the exam happen. For NET, there is no age limit, and that is why I think this is one of the best advantage of this particular exam is that you don't have age limit in NET. People who have completed their PhD and are working, they can still um, look out for this exam and they can take up this exam. The next is eligibility. So it has like at least 55% in your master's degree. And also you can appear for this exam if you are in the third semester of your master's. Okay. So you can start preparing for it if you want, or you can also appear in the third semester or in the fourth semester of your master's. So that is also makes you eligible to take up the exam. Okay. And the next is for JRF, that is Junior Research Fellowship. Since we get fellowship for conducting research from the government, there is an age limit for like 31 years, not more than that. If you have crossed that age, it's okay. Age no bar in NET, so you can appear for NET. Now, coming up with the next reason, I mean, with the next milestone, why you want to take up this exam. And this is the question which I think I'm asking everyone who is here, uh, students who are going to take up this exam. Can you tell me your reasons to take up this exam? It's okay if you don't have any, it's fine. But if you have, you can tell me, you can unmute yourself. I think this is going to be a lovely interaction between.
To know the information from you,
Pardon?
to know the information from you, how you clear,
Okay.
how you
Okay. Fine, that's fine. So, this answer I think should be given when I ask the first question. Why you want to spend 40 minutes with me? But it's totally fine. Another answer. Anyone else? Do you have anything in mind? Why do you want to take up this exam?
to pursue research in the future.
Okay, to pursue research in the future. That's a great answer. Thank you. Anyone else?
I want to give my contribute to this industry via education academically.
Oh, that's such a nice answer. I gave the same answer when I was being asked in PhD. I think that's a great answer. That's
Thank you
lovely.
so much. That's the only motive I have, that I so want to contribute in this industry educationally, because I have seen many people, traveling. I want to educate people because there need to be professors and teacher who can teach you the sustainability and the responsible tourism.
Right. That's really a great I would say a reason to take up this particular exam, and this will take you very far, dear. God bless you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other reasons? It's okay if they are stupid reasons. I totally accept those reasons. You need to be honest, but okay.
it's a growing industry, so I would like to contribute by doing my research in tourism and
Okay.
contributing my knowledge to who are interested in this field in future.
Okay. That's a great answer. Thank you. I think girls are only answering.
To
Boys are not
expand my
answering.
Sticking
hello,
to that, I would like to tell you like, as
Pinaz
of now,
ma'am,
I'm in the teaching field, so I
Pinaz
need
ma'am.
to.
Yes, yes, yes.
To
Yeah.
expand my knowledge in the field of tourism and hospitality industry. That's why
Wow.
I pursue
That's a
my.
great. I think that's great. You will definitely expand your knowledge when you'll be in research. You'll get to know a lot of things, and I think this is going to be, another level of intellectual joy. It gives you intellectual joy and thrill because I think research in itself is it's good. Okay. Any other answer?
Need to be in the teaching field.
Okay, you need to be in the teaching field. Okay, that's
Yeah,
great.
to share my knowledge to the coming upcoming buds.
Oh, that's nice. I think teaching. Now, I'll just share a few answers here in which I have written. I think yesterday Priya Krishna sir had said this answer, and I was very much relatable to this particular reason. That academia seems more stable than a corporate job. Sometimes yes, because in corporate sector, specifically after COVID-19, a lot of doubts were there in the minds of people that tourism industry is crippled and it's not going to move. It's just will not be able to revive and all that stuff. But I think yeah, that's there. But none of the pandemic or epidemic can stop any industry from flourishing. It changes the route, but it doesn't stop. So yeah, but anyways, this is a valid answer. That academia seems more stable than a corporate job. Then, because fellowship will help me study and sustain myself in higher education, I think this again is a reason which I have found when I talk to people, why do they want? Because if you get money for doing research, which also helps you sustain, specifically in JRF, right? I think that's a great deal. Because I'm interested in research, I think some of you have already said that you want to pursue research, you want to expand your knowledge, and I think this is a great reason. Okay. I think some of these courses have these, you need to submit your dissertations in your masters. I think that is also a point wherein, students get interested in research and they try to, explore this particular area. Then I think teaching is fun. As recently, ma'am has said that she wants to go into teaching. And believe me, teaching is really fun because you just get to know. I mean, apart from speaking a lot, for those who are very extroverts, I think teachers are not extroverts. They are some ambiverts. But anyways, teaching is definitely fun. You tend to share your knowledge. You get to learn from people, from students. About things you possibly don't know. Then because I will be adding value to the society through my job, an answer which was given, and I think this is a very very what I say, this is very exceptionally deep answer to be given. For instance, if I am sharing my experience with all of you, this is also a value addition to the society, and I would love if any one of you in next 3 years will be here in my place sharing your experience of clearing the exam. I think that will be great. Next is because it will give me a sense of accomplishment. I think yes, that sometimes happen. It is an internal motivation that people feel that okay, no, I have done PhD and I'm good at studies. Then why not? Now I am going to share two most funniest reasons of all times. That because having a doctor as a prefix, in my name would sound cool. I think this is the funniest reason which I found. And so my reason was the last one because studying is the only thing I'm good at. This was the reason I pursued because I was like, I am not dealing. I mean, I'm not good at dealing with customer grievances. They cry a lot and they just put up some or the other kind of complaints in front of me. I was like, I can't do this. I think I'm good at studying. Let's just pursue higher education and let's just go for PhD. This was my reason. I know, but I believe that no matter how stupid the reason is or how good the reason is, if it motivates you, I think there is no stopping. This is going to help you to take you far. So every reason is as good as far as it can motivate you. Okay, be it internal, be it external, be it basis on the basis of perks or benefits that you get, or on the basis of you find it interesting, it gives you some kind of intellectual joy, or you think it's fun. I think this is going to take you far if you stick to these reasons. The next is how, right? I mean, this is going to be as usual, the honest slide. So when I was preparing for the first attempt, a lot of information was given to me by one of my dearest teacher. I when I was doing my MBA, so he told me about this entire exam, things which I'm telling you. So he told me everything, and he also provided me with some of the material. And in the first attempt, I read from that material, and simultaneously, since I got a job offer, so I was like, okay, fine, I have a backup plan. It's okay. I think I will complete it. I will, that intellectual bubble of me. Okay, fine, it's okay. I think I will clear it off. Couldn't happen. So here are a few tips and tricks for those who are preparing for the first time. First of all, go through the syllabus comprehensively. When you prepare, wholeheartedly for the exam, just make sure that, take a printout of the paper, or sorry, of the syllabus, or if you want to, save a PDF of it, just have it. Read it thoroughly, 2, 3 times, just go through it and see what is there. What are the subtopics? What are the things that are included? Okay, in each and every unit. Prepare notes yourself. I'll tell you one very, very interesting, what I say, one research. A research happened in Princeton University. So what the researchers did were, they divided the students into two groups. Okay, one group of students, they were being told that you need to prepare notes using your, conventional method, your notebook and your pen. So you have to create notes using the conventional method. And the other half of the students, they were told that you can use your laptops and phones to prepare the notes. So this happened. The first segment of students, they were, very annoyed that, okay, fine, this is such a tedious work to do and all that stuff. They were crying, but still they were preparing notes. And then the other half, they were happy, okay, fine, we just need to copy paste things and the notes will be prepared. It's such a simple thing. So this happened. When the notes were being prepared, after that the researchers took the exam of both the groups. So it came out that the marks of students of, batch one, group one, they were higher as compared to the marks of group two. So the researchers were like, okay, I think we took the exam, immediately after they prepared notes. So let's just do one thing, just to, validate our results. Let's just take exam after 2 days. Know how these researchers and teachers are. They're like, let's just give shock come surprises to the students. This is going to be fun. Anyways, jokes apart. So what they did was, after 2 days, they conducted this exam. Again, the same results came. The students who used the conventional method, their marks were relatively twice higher as compared to the students who prepared it using laptops and phones. And that was where the principle came in, the effort principle. Higher the efforts, better the results. And this is the video which I think last week, or maybe before that, I just happened to see it on YouTube, and I just loved it, because this happens now also. If you put more efforts into learning something, into remembering something, it remains with you. Definitely, after some time, mind has the tendency to lose some of the memories. So when people ask me, Acha, tell me the airport code of this particular city, I'm like, oh, sorry, I don't know. So it is bound to happen. It's okay. But if you prepare notes yourself, the effort principle will count. And since it's a research, we can say that it has its validity, reliability over it. Okay. So I would say that there is a lot of information available to you, but still stick to the way you want your notes to be. For instance, this person behind the slide, he has this tendency to listen to music and write notes. A lot of people have it, and there's nothing wrong about it. A lot of people have this, they prepare notes based on some pictures. They can use maps, they use pictures, they relate some song when they write down notes. So it's normal, right? So prepare notes as you like it. This is just one thing I wanted to tell to the first timers. The next is unit 1 to 6. This is these are the units which focus on learning aspect. You can't change much of the things which are already included. For instance, you can't change the definition of OTA, right? Or you can't ask Cohen, why did you give this typology of travelers? No, you can't do that. There is a typology, there are specific things which are there. So what you can do is you can just learn them, you can just understand the concepts. Why did this typology came out, or what were the typologies, or what were the tourism organizations? Those are there. So you need to learn, focus on learning. Specifically for unit 3, you can use maps. I use map. I pasted maps on my wall. So whenever I sleepwalk, at least I have the maps in front of me. But so these are the units that you need to focus on learning. The next units you need to focus on concepts, as I said. For unit 9, in-depth study will help you because this is going to be everlasting. If you want to be in research, you want to pursue PhD, you want to go for postdoc, you need to know basic stats and research. For this, you can look out for some YouTube videos. A dear sir, you can say, or mentor, Neeraj Kaushik sir, he is, he has a YouTube channel wherein a lot of research topics are being discussed and are being taught in very, very simple language. So I think that will help you. Videos definitely help. Videos helped me, and I think it will help people. For those who get tired of reading a lot of times, and then we are like, okay, fine, let's just watch some video to understand this concept. You can resort to videos. Next is revise frequently. There is no substitute for revision, unfortunately. Next is prepare from previous year's papers. Okay, so you need to get hold. For instance, yesterday Priya Krishna sir said, no, 3 years at least, or even 5 years, 7 years papers. So you need to get hold of those papers, see what things comes in the exam are being asked, and then prepare accordingly. Okay, I mean, this is more like a revision. Now, once you have done hard work, I believe that you can't do smart work without crossing the stage of hard work. Right. So once you have done hard work, our first timers, you could not clear JRF or you could not clear net. Right. Then come to the second technique. Now, this is what I say is the smart work. But this comes only after hard work. Okay. So don't directly jump into this because otherwise you will not be able, you are going to, play with your own future if you resort to this smart work first. The first thing is, for instance, here I am and I could not clear JRF. I just cleared net. So there were definitely a few marker difference which happened. So what happens is, what we can do is, for non-first timers, go through the syllabus again. See what were the topics, go through it comprehensively, check previous year's papers. Okay. You want to have soft copy of it, that's fine. If you want to get print out of it, whichever way is comfortable to you, you can do that. Next is use deductive research. Now, possibly some of you might be saying that we haven't yet entered into the official stage of research, and here she is saying us to do deductive research. I mean, but honestly speaking, this is what I experienced, or you can say I experimented. So the only difference between the time when I cleared net and JRF was this particular method. I used deductive research. Deductive research is basically you go through the papers of previous years, right? You, for instance, 10 year, 5 years, whichever is good for you. 5 years papers, you gathered 5 year papers, and then you read those papers over and over again to identify what are the topics these questions relate to. Getting it? So, for instance, if there is a question on palace on wheels or travelers typology, so I understand that travelers typology, it is in unit 1. Palace on wheels is in unit 4. So what I used to do, I used to pick up these questions and mark unit 1. So this question is from unit 1. This question is from unit 2. This is from unit 4. This is how you try to create patterns, right? And you understand from which topic, from which unit, what are the topics that are being frequently asked. Okay, so this is the smart work, but this happens only when you are, well versed with the syllabus. If you do not know that Bloom's expectancy theory is in which unit, you will never be able to identify patterns. Okay, so this will help you. And then look for the topics that most of the questions are being asked, and then you try to focus on those topics comprehensively. Gain in-depth knowledge of those topics. Now, why I'm saying this, that this is going to be helpful, is because tourism as a subject is still novel, right? It is not UPSC that there are lakhs of coachings on. There are millions of people who are giving how to crack UPSC exam, and there are people who are doing analysis of the pattern. In UPSC, they do not follow any pattern. But in subjects like TAM, or which are relatively at novel stages, you can easily find some or the other pattern, and this is the underlying advantage. Okay, so try doing it, and I am very sure that it will help you. Okay, then focus on the topics that you could not perform well. Do in-depth knowledge. When I cleared net, it was like in the first paper I could not get much marks, so I absolutely knew that I need to get more marks in unit 1, sorry, in paper 1. Okay, so when you know that this is the area which due to which I lagged, focus on those areas. So when I knew that in paper 1 I need to get more marks, I focused on topics like you have these assertions and reasoning. A lot of times you're like, God, which is the correct answer, why it is there. Sometimes it's very difficult to identify the right answer, but it again has a logic. And sometimes videos, practice, that will help you to overcome those fears that you have. Clear your doubts and practice over procrastination. Don't A lot of times it will happen that, okay, fine, it's okay, we have cleared net, why to go for JRF? It's okay, let's just be in our comfort zone. Don't be lazy. I think that is a lot of times people who are non first timers, they have this thing in mind that it's okay, let's just compromise, let's just be in our lazy zone. Don't procrastinate. If you have thought that in mind, you will do it. Okay, the next is what happens after, right? As I said, unfortunately or fortunately, we can't know what is going to be the consequence of our action. We can talk to people. We are social animals, so we can definitely share our experiences with each other. So there are I have concretely divided it into two subsections. One is regular PhD. Okay, so what happens after you have cleared this particular exam? You can apply for PhD, as you said that people are interested in research. So a lot of times, organizations or colleges, they ask you to prepare for a synopsis on the basis of which you give interview, and they try to identify whether you are a suitable candidate to be taken or not. Right now, remember here that at this particular stage, if you're going for PhD, JRF candidates are preferred over net candidates, right? So that is always good to clear JRF, so that at least that criteria is being cleared. You are being preferred if you have JRF. Right, then you need to write a synopsis, which is basically of what area you want to do research, and you create a short research proposal on that area, 12 to 15 pages. Okay, so for synopsis, you can definitely seek help from researchers or from colleagues. Those people will help you to create the synopsis. And once you clear the interview, there is a 6 months coursework in most of the universities. In this coursework, you are being again taught that data analysis, research methodology, statistics, but from a different perspective, thoda sa, like in thoda sa. Okay, and then you also have SPSS, research ethics, again a topic which holds importance. So this is being taught. The next is research and publication. So for the next 3 years, the minimum time duration to complete your PhD is 3 years, and for like next 3 years, your life is going to be surrounded with research, conducting research, doing publications, writing books, chapters, papers, articles, collaborating with people, knowing more about research. I think this has its own intellectual joy. And if you think that after completing PhD, you want to go for postdoc, you can definitely apply for postdoc. There are fellowships in foreign universities also. So you can look out for these opportunities. Okay. Now, the other option is you want to do teaching plus PhD, wherein you are looking for PhD as a not as a regular degree, but as a distant degree. And so for instance, I'm working as a guest faculty somewhere, and I am doing my PhD, say, from Amity University, right? So this can also happen. This is another option that you have. Now, here your life will be surrounded with teaching and administrative work, definitely, because that is your work area. Plus, you need to balance your research and publications along with your teaching. It becomes a little, what I say, hectic. A lot of times, people in the initial stages, I would say it's difficult to balance both. But in regular PhD, you get stipend. So for JRF, SRF, you get stipend. But when you do teaching plus PhD, you do not get those stipend. You get the salary which you are working as assistant professor or guest professor somewhere. Okay, and but yes, definitely the benefit is that your experience will be counted. The teaching experience which you had in say 3 years as a guest faculty somewhere, that will be counted. Okay, but when, for instance, I am doing regular PhD in Jamia, so even though I teach, students of graduation level, I teach them, but that experience will not be counted. Okay, but I think that has helped me because that's why I'm able to speak in front of you, right? Okay. So, tools and tricks. These are the books which I think both of these books are also referred by Priya Krishna sir. I prepared from book one because at that time in 2017-18, this book was there. So I prepared from this book. Recently, Shiba Hamid ma'am's book has also been there. So you can also look out for this particular book. Don't look out for much of the material. Just focus on the concepts and the syllabus. Okay, and this entire syllabus is being covered in both the books, right? Either you can buy either of these books. It's totally up to you. You can go for reviews from the buyers, and then you can choose one. For paper one, I looked out for Exam Race YouTube channel because some were the topics which I wasn't very clear of. So I was just scrolling on YouTube and I found Exam Race as a channel. So Dr. Manisha, she's incredible. She, I'm not sponsoring anyone, but it's just what I referred to. So you can also look out for this particular YouTube channel. I think this is nice. Um, don't forget the effort principles. Okay, so there are no hard and fast rules, as I said. I think I have covered almost everything along with my experience. So, but still, herein, I have tried to summarize it in ABCDE. Again, I have this bad habit of giving short forms. So for A, it's like a lot of people, since A is the bottom line, so it ensures that you need to, you need to adhere to the syllabus. Just stick to the syllabus that is being provided to you. Okay, the UGC net syllabus which is there. The next is be disciplined. Discipline is very, very important because I believe that a lot of times time management plays a role. If you are teaching or if you are, working somewhere or for any matter in that case, you need to have time management and self-discipline. I think this needs to be worked. When honestly speaking, when I was preparing, when I take up this net exam in the second attempt, I took a leave from my office, accumulated leaves and all that. I said, sir, just give me 1 month leave and I will just clear this exam and I will come back. Okay, fine. So I, in 1 month I tried to prepare for this exam and eventually I cleared net. When I was, taking JRF, the manager changed. And I was like, now I can't take 1 month, but still at least 20 days will work. what I did was I take leaves again after 6 months for 20 days. And I'm like, sir, please give me 20 days leaves. I promise I'll come back and join you. So they gave me leave for 20 days. And that's what I'm saying. If you are disciplined, you can clear this exam in 20 days also. Okay. Maybe I think I had this added advantage of non-first timer. So I think that's why I could do this. But if you are disciplined, you can clear any exam. It's about self-discipline. The next is consistency. Again, very important. C for consistency. It's like a lot of times you will have this urge after 3 days of studying. You will be like, let's go and catch up some friend. Let's go to some party. Let's just look out for some more Instagram reels and all that stuff. It happens with everyone. It happened with me, and I think it's a natural phenomenon because at this time we are so much surrounded with distractions that being consistent becomes a challenging thing. Okay, but if self discipline, if you bring self discipline in your routine, consistency ultimately develops. The next is dedication. Do it wholeheartedly. Do not have, a lot of time people say have plan, backup plan B, C. Have those plans with a practical mindset. But when you are involved in taking up this exam, involve yourself mentally, emotionally, and physically also. It's there, so be dedicated. And E, which I think is the most important part of this entire pyramid, is enjoy the process. Right? If you are doing everything without being happy, without enjoying what you have gain knowledge. If you have read something, discuss it with your siblings, with your friends. Just just enjoy the process. Education is about enjoyment. If you don't enjoy education, I think it's just like having a degree in your bag. That's it. And last, I would like to say that the only impossible journey is the one that you never begin. So I wish you all the very best. I hope that this presentation was useful for people who are here. So thank you so much, everyone. I would like to answer your questions now.
Am I audible, madam?
Yes, you're audible.
Uh, First of all, good evening to you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, thing is that I am an academician. I'm working in this industry for last 4.5 years as a teacher for one of the private hotel management institute. And thing is that I'm also having my pursuing masters for both, the HRM and for the MTTM from IGNOU. So, it's a bit hectic for me, to, go with the time. So I'm
Right.
planning to give the exam for the next year. I do believe that by this, 22nd of June, all the certificates and everything will be gone. I'll be having in my hand. So it's already there for the third semester I am in. So what will be your suggestion for me, ma'am, to prepare for the SEM? Because I already having my all this preparation for the MTTM. I'm getting the notes from the IGNOU, the study materials I have. It's helping me a lot. And since the, as Sarah was discussing last day, like for the research methodology as well as the marketing, tourism marketing, if we have in the curriculum, so that can help me a lot. So what else I can do? Because the time and managing the time, just you have spoke, like I need to manage with the timing. So what I can do better?
See, what I think you can do is if you have started preparing as of now, I think in a day, 1 hour is more than enough. Okay. By the time the exam comes in, I think then you need to manage your time and then spend 5 to 6 hours for preparation. For research, for marketing, I think the books that I have mentioned, they are self-sufficient. But if you want to read more about research methodology or marketing, tourism marketing, services marketing, then you can look out for other books. But I personally feel that everything which is being covered in these books, I think that is self-sufficient. Plus, since your master's is also from tourism and hospitality, a lot of syllabus is very similar. Right.
Yes,
So I
besides
would.
that, I'm already there from the, the IHM. So I
Okay.
completed my bachelor from the HM for the hotel management and the hospitality. So the subject I know, and my specialization is same like yours, the room divisions.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm comfortable with the same. So that particular area can be familiar with me in terms of cracking the exam.
I think yes, that will definitely help you out because the field is same. A lot of things, a lot of syllabus things are already being covered. When I was doing masters, a lot of things were same. So I would say that you can prepare for the exam and you can start preparing for it. If you have got notes from people, try to interpret those notes in your own language and write it down. Okay, this is going to help you to understand the concepts in depth. And since you have time, you're saying that you are preparing, you will, take the exam next year. So I think you have ample of time. Even if you give each topic a month, you will still be having, almost like 1 or 2 months. So I think that's there. You can easily prepare. Just stick to the syllabus and the notes that you have got. Try to interpret and write it in your own language. I think that will help you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for your
Was I
suggestion.
able to answer your question?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Ma'am, I just want to ask you, see, for this net, I mean, right now the NTA is doing the preparation for the questions. Okay, now I've seen that over the years, the question has becoming tougher and tougher. All right, so what is the best strategy that a student can use? Because we don't have just tourism, okay, like
Mhm.
our own paper, but we also have the paper one. So what is the
Mhm.
best strategy that the student can use in order, to come out with flying colors?
Okay, so I would say that questions, a little bit of them, a few of them would be difficult, and I would say that yesterday, if you had attended the session, Priyakrishna sir said that almost like 5% of margin of error remains. So even if you use that smart technique which I said, you list down the papers, you check the patterns, you see what topics are being covered in each paper. Right, there will be 10 questions, 7 to 10 questions that you will not be able to relate with any topic. It happened with me when I was taking up the exam. There was a paragraph from some book on, I think, on Taj Mahal, and they asked the question from which book this paragraph has been taken. I mean, ultimately, the four, questions were already difficult, and they asked that, okay, fine, from which book it has been taken. So it is going to happen that 5 to 7 questions, 7 to 10 questions, I would say, you will not be able to relate with any unit. So it's okay. You can, leave them aside. It's more like guesswork in those 7, 10 questions. But the
Okay, well,
revision.
what is the best strategy that one can remember most of the things that they've prepared over the months? Because sometimes
Okay.
it might be difficult for you
Right.
to recollect whatever you've studied. Okay, so I'm sure
Right.
there must be a strategy somewhere.
See,
Okay.
strategy is basically this, that you need to keep revising and you take those mock tests.
Okay.
Okay, for instance, if you have, prepared a rough of the syllabus, say 1 to 10 units, you have, gone through them, just take out the
Just take out
papers.
the papers.
Okay, and
Okay. Okay.
try doing them
Try
again.
doing them again.
I think this,
I think this.
and if you do it repetitively, sometimes what happens, you remember the questions also. You're like, oh, this is
Mhm.
what the question, I remember the answer. So I think that is one of the strategy which helped me. When I cleared JRF at the time of preparing, I took out the print notes of these papers and I just, with pencil I used to do them, and then later on, I'm like, no, I'll erase them and then I'll do it again. So it was my strategy and it helped me a lot. So revision and doing mock test. This is the final stage. I think this is going to help you a lot.
Okay. Thank you
Okay,
so
thank you
much.
so much.
Welcome.
Hello, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I have observed in net exam like they are asking F&B related questions and hospitality related questions. Like,
Mm-hmm.
for example, in that particular area, like we can say in Jammu and Kashmir. which recipe is famous for in that particular destination, in that area, or in that specific district. So how we can get a particular information or sources?
Okay.
Is there any websites?
Specifically, websites are not there. I would say some of the links that Priya Krishna sir had provided, they are, you can use them. Apart from that, it's more like the level of awareness. Okay, if you read about a destination, you will get to know a lot of things. What are the geographical indicators? What is the famous cuisine there? Which is the famous beach out there? So I think this is more about increasing your level of awareness, reading things that comes up in, and then those links will help you. I think tourism talks was one of the links. I think that will definitely help you out there.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for the clarification.
You're welcome.
Ma'am, we have a question on chat box. Can you suggest how to start this in early stage? From Gayatri.
Okay, how to start research or how to start this? Can you repeat it?
Preparation.
Okay, preparation at the early stage. I think this is the question, right?
Hi, ma'am. I'm Gayatri. I posted the question.
Okay.
Yes.
Fine.
So I've done my bachelor's in travel and tourism from Amity, and now I'm pursuing my master's in travel and tourism from Amity itself. And
Okay.
I have just now, like 2-3 days back, I've started preparing for UGC NET and JRF. So can you please guide me a little bit ki how I have to study? Like what should be my focus in the initial days?
Okay. So, Gayatri, first thing I would like to say that start from the topics that you find difficult. I found research very difficult. I started with those topics. So, in your masters, a lot of topics you might be able to correlate it because some of the topics those are being taught in masters are also included in net. But I would say that start from the topic that you find difficult to in-depth what I say research on those topics, right? Keeping keep the syllabus in front of it. So, for instance, if you are preparing for statistics and research, keep the syllabus in front of you, and then take one topic each, and then start preparing notes for it. Okay, read out some. If, for instance, if you're not able to understand what ANOVA is, yeah, how mean median mode works, look out for some videos, and I think that is very good because almost like currently 6 months are there for the next net. So you can, if you go through the topics one by one, starting from the most difficult, you will be able to ultimately, have some confidence by the time you will reach to the topics you know a little. Okay, I think confidence building is very important. If you leave the important topics or the difficult topics at the end, that's going to create anxiety in you. So, in order to get hold of that anxiety, start with difficult topics, prepare notes. If you face any difficulty in any of the topics being there, ask your colleagues or teachers, or you can ask me, some senior members right there, and then you can definitely prepare notes for subsequent topics.
Yeah, sure, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay, Pinaj, I have one question. Can you tell us the channel name which you discussed about? I mean, that for tourism niche or something else is,
Okay,
sharing the information on that.
I mentioned two. For paper one, it was exam race. Okay, so for paper one, there were some topics that I wasn't, very clear of. So I look out at this particular YouTube channel. This is good. The next one is for research. I mentioned Neeraj Kaushik. Neeraj Kaushik, he's a teacher, educator, and he has his own YouTube channel. And for research, he is one person who, clarifies a lot of topics in very easy language. I think you should check out a few videos. If in case you found that you are not able to understand, then you can ultimately, you have those suggested videos out there. So you can look out for some other options if you think. Okay, but
And for tourism?
For tourism, yeah.
for tourism, it was tourism. Yesterday, that link was provided now by Priya Krishna sir.
Tourism talks.
Tourism talks, right? I think
Okay.
that was for there for regular journal awareness on tourism. It is for
Even
journal
EPG Pathasala we can follow, right, ma'am? EPG Pathasala.
EPG, I remember. I think there was this link was there, right?
Yeah.
Would Nimit sir will be briefing
Mhm.
us in the end or so, Pinaj,
In the end,
today?
I don't know. I don't know whether I think. I mean, if you want, I can just ask him, sir, if he can just come and say a few words. I think possibly, but
Yeah, that would be very great. That would be very great.
if you really want me to ask him, I can do that. Provided if
Yeah,
it's
yeah. Please do that. Please, please.
Sir, sir, please,
okay,
Nimit sir, ji, please.
done. I think I'll just message him. Sir, please join. This is so
Sir,
important.
please,
People,
sir, say few words
We
people
about
want,
want you.
yeah,
it.
because it's been 2012 and we haven't heard him.
Sir, one
So
Oh,
it would be good.
are
kind word.
then it's
Yeah,
important, I think.
because we are the student of him only from the ITTM 2012 batch. So it would be good
Oh,
if we
wow.
hear him.
You are my senior then. I think
Yeah,
I am from 2015 batch, right?
I
Good
know.
evening, ma'am.
Yeah.
Pardon? Yeah.
Hello, good
Very
evening.
Good
and very
evening.
good attempt,
This
Pinaj.
is
Very good attempt. I'm really.
this is Munir from Jammu and Kashmir.
Hi, Munir. How are you?
I'm fine. Ma'am, I was an MTTM from Central University of Kashmir actually a few years back,
Mm-hmm.
and after that I qualified UGC NET quite a few times. I believe all the previous 4 occasions of the UGC NET, and out of those 4 attempts, twice I went very close to the JRF. I missed JRF
Mm-hmm.
by just a one question
Okay.
previous year and in 2019 December as well.
Okay.
My question definitely is not regarding the content and all other things.
Mm-hmm.
It's about when I appear into the exam, and I just recently saw a pattern in my mistakes that I most of the mistakes are in the paper one and usually in the beginning of the questions, in the first 10 to
Mm-hmm.
15 questions, just maybe just because of the anxiety or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be your suggestion to overcome the anxiety? Because I'm not really worried about the content and
Okay.
where to study from, because I have already qualified net 4 times and that too with a very good percentage. But it's just about I just
Hmm.
missed JRF twice by a one question. That was
Okay.
quite a close margin.
Fine. It's totally fine, Munir. What I'm going to suggest you is something which I personally practice. I don't know if you will practice or not, but I also get these anxiety attacks. I know, but it happens. A lot of times when you certainly you presumably have some pressures in your mind and you start feeling anxious when you are preparing for the exam or when you even appear for the exam. So I think the best thing to do is I don't know if it is going to answer your question or not, but meditation definitely helps a lot of time to keep yourself focused and stable. um, I know this is not a like sure shot strategy that this is going to be there, but meditation definitely helps in controlling that anxiety levels a lot of times. And when you are giving that exam, you feel more relaxed, and that stabilizing things happens in your nature. So
Yes,
I
exactly. Once I'm into the exam, 10, 15 minutes pass, and
understand.
then I'm very much okay. I'm not completely focused on the paper, and then I do questions very, very much correct most of those questions
Mhm.
now after 10 or 15 minutes. But it's the, initial
Initial part. I
few
understand.
minutes.
So just
Obviously,
start
it's something
practicing
related
it.
to the psychology. It's not,
Yeah, right, you're absolutely right. It's like we know everything, but we have some presumed pressures in our mind that we hustle and
exactly.
bustle, and that we just do something else, and we have something else in mind, and then we regret. Oh shit, we knew it, right? So it
Yes,
happens,
yes.
but I think meditation definitely helps in order to stabilize that anxiety, and this I have personal, experienced it. So I think this should help you also.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Welcome. Okay. Anyone else? Any questions?
Ma'am, one more question in the chat box from Vanilla.
Okay.
How to
Okay.
attempt questions that ask about books and authors?
Books and authors, right. These are again some of the questions. You can look out for previous year's paper, the books and the authors. Most of the times, the authors are relatively, known or familiar. So even if you know at least two of them or three of them, generally it works in. But I would say that books and chapters again is in the syllabus. So if you consider some of the famous books being written by some famous authors, I think that will help you. And even if you leave this particular question, it's fine, because this again is very, very, what I say, very, very broad, right? You can't remember 150 books with their author's name or even more. So I think it's okay if you can leave this question, because I remember I had a list of books and authors which I had to, remember and mug it up, but I couldn't do it because I knew that this is just one question that comes up. Focus on the questions, 80-20 principle. Focus on the work that yields 80% of the productivity. Focus on those, and then 20% it's like it's okay. So this books wala thing comes in as 20%. Okay, it was nice interacting with you.
Hello.
Hello, hi.
Yeah, good evening, ma'am. I'm Ayu from Maharashtra. Ma'am, I want to share that I've recently started studying for this UGC NET JRF.
Mhm.
So I'm talking about only paper 2. So what I've analyzed, I have read all the matlab, syllabus thoroughly, ki what is there in unit 1, unit 2, all the 10 units, अच्छे से proper. And then I bought this book of Shiba Habib ma'am for the previous year questions, because it's all in one place, so it will be very easy and less time consuming. So I analyzed the whole book, and what I got to know that I have made 90 to 92 points, which will include like the reserves in India, the biosphere reserves, the airport codes, the your meals plan and everything. So there are 92 such topics. I felt ki it is there in that from last 10 years ke question paper mein,
Right.
it's there, matlab, which includes your
So you were
luxurious
able to
train.
find the pattern somewhere or
Yes,
the other.
exactly. So what I am doing right now, rather than doing it with the help of syllabus unit wise, what I am doing is I am taking that my 92 points, which has airport codes, dishes and states, dances and states, like that. So I'm picking up that and studying like this. For example, there is one paper which asks ki ye wala dish jo hai, this dish is from which state. So it was given only 4, but I have studied all the possible dishes from the state. So that's how I cover the syllabus. So I just want to confirm that am I on the right path, or I should go with the unit wise, that I should complete one unit, then second unit, then third unit.
Okay, depends. Is it your first time or not?
Yes, it's my first time.
If this is your first time, I would say that keep these 92 points at one side. Prepare it 1 month prior to the exam. Currently, do it unit wise, because the more comprehensive you will go, the better it is if you want to do research in tourism. Because ultimately, those topics which possibly might not be asked in the paper, you need to know when you will be, in research, or possibly when you will be teaching students of graduation level or post graduation level.
Okay.
Right. So if this is your first time, do thoda sa hard work, and just make sure that you complete unit wise preparation. You make notes. When it is done, then the final stage should be like focus on those 92 points which you have analyzed.
That will be complete revision of all the 10 units.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. So that's what I wanted to be sure that am I on the right path. Thank you so much. I'll just do it unit wise.
Yep.
Yeah,
Welcome.
thank you
dear.
so much.
All the
Thank you.
best.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, one more question. We need to take notes for a train transport in Europe.
Okay. Is this a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What? How you want me to answer it? You need to take notes of train transportation in Europe.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
only in
I
Europe.
asked that question. You have told me that transportation, especially in rail, we need to go in Europe. Like we need to take notes for
Right.
Europe trains. Only in
Right.
Europe, in the other country we need to take, ma'am.
It's there in the syllabus. If you see at the syllabus, no, the railway networks of Indian subcontinent is definitely there. Apart from that, it's in Europe also. So
Okay.
Europe and Indian subcontinent will definitely work. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Madam,
Ma'am,
good evening, madam.
another
This is
question.
Anmant Rekha from Karnataka.
Yes, sir. Hello. How are you?
Ma'am, I'm good actually. I just actually in middle when you are going to present your actually this topic, madam, regarding on the UGC net general and tourism paper. But actually, I'm really working actually right now in the university only as a guest faculty right now. For the last actually 6 year I've been working as a faculty. I got actually state qualified actually from Karnataka.
Okay.
Right now, I've been applying many times NET, but I'm actually failing in the general paper, madam, especially in the data interpretation and verbal and non-verbal. Actually, regular I'm failing in their way only, that communication part and teaching and research, higher education. So I'm actually covering all these areas, but I'm failing in the passage and the data interpretation and verbal and non-verbal. Can you please, ma'am, suggest best actually the channels for the getting the videos in the YouTube like that? Actually, it's very easy for us. Actually, I've been applying many times, but I'm getting so much failure also in this actually journey. Please, ma'am, suggest in this way.
Sure. Sir, for data interpretation, and I think you should just look out for this channel which I mentioned, Exam Race. Okay, Exam Race. I think you can just look out for this particular channel. They also have coachings, or you can say videos for IS also, but for UGC Net paper one specifically, they upload videos on a regular basis. So I think data interpretation is something which is more about practice. The questions are not very hard or very technical when you do data interpretation. It is about the speed. Okay, so that can be built only through practice. So what you can do is you can just hold one book for paper one and do some practice of data interpretation, because I think we get I mean, most of the times it's like the minds get hazy when we see a lot of numbers and we're like, oh my god, how to do it. So it's basically about practice and just understand what they are asking. For verbal thing, I think that is again will come with practice. I think you can just resort to one book which you think has everything, because I think you will do wonderfully well in teaching aptitude and research, if I'm not wrong, because you have experience in teaching. So that's
Yeah,
no
ma'am. Yeah, ma'am.
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So that's no problem. But I think verbal and for data interpretation, you need practice.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Yeah.
But I'm not getting time, madam. Actually, time management is very important in the exam.
I understand,
But
sir. But I think I think 1 hour in a day will be sufficient enough. This is something which I can say. I personally, when I was preparing, it was like almost like 6 to 8 hours that I used to spend in studying and watching videos, sab kuch mila
okay.
ke. But apart from that, it was like you don't need 14, 15 hours. I mean, I didn't need it, and I understood that there's a lot of information available to us, and specifically, when you listen to experiences of the people, it's about 6 to 8 hours. That's self-sufficient. हो जाएगा इतने में तो आराम से.
So thank you, madam. That's what I'm asking. Actually, since morning to evening, I'm working in the campus, and I think I don't have any time to prepare for this actually extra for this kind of exam. So that's what I'm asking you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
I understand, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam, there is another question from Rosalind Mohanty. I
Mhm.
just wanted to know about which to follow for the Unit 4, which is all about transportation.
Okay, for transportation, I remember I was sticking to the book that I had by R. Gupta. Apart from that, if I had to wanted to gain some additional information, so I used to search, Indian Railways. I think personally, at that time Wikipedia I really found really nice enough, because all the information I wanted, I used to search it. It is only after research I found that Wikipedia is not a reliable source. But you can definitely look out for some topics. For instance, we want railways. So Indian Railways, the zones which are there, the new rails which are being introduced. I think you can get all these information on the internet. Okay, but I think you will get sufficient information in the books that is being given. But apart from that, if you want to gain some additional knowledge about this, you can look out these topics on internet.
Yes. So, ma'am, there is another question from Rajashri. Ma'am, how should we prepare for the last passage in paper 2 chapter? I think how to prepare for the last unit in paper 2.
Okay, last unit is organizational behavior and accountancy, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Okay, I'll just show you. I was helping one of my colleagues, teachers, whatever. Unko, I was trying to help out on how to prepare for this particular exam, and I was, as since time is money, time is precious, I had less time. So what I did was I was just checking the net syllabus, and I could find that in last two papers, 2 year papers, there were some topics which were repeatedly being asked. Either by, even if you hold your ear by this hand or by this hand, the questions were relatively same. So in unit 10, last unit, which is about organizational behavior, there were a few topics that were asked, and that I tried to highlight then. So, for instance, internal and external environment, it's basically about the organizational communication pattern that is important in this particular unit. Then, apart from that, leadership, motivational theories. Now, when you prepare for this particular unit, just make sure that you understand the concepts. When I say centralization versus decentralization, you do not only understand what decentralization is. You need to understand what makes it different from centralization. Okay, so prepare this way, that you just not only what A means apple, why A means apple, or what makes it different from B. So this is what will help you to grasp the topic in detail. Okay, so motivational theories are very important. They are generally being asked. So this unit 10, this is just I'd say a minute test version of management. Okay, so I think management you must do. Prepare well, understanding the concepts, prepare your own notes through pictures, diagrams, whichever way you find good. There are a lot of books on management. I think even if you pick up one book, that will be good. And I think you can, if you are preparing for it, you can buy either of these books which are mentioned. The syllabus covers each and every topic with the proper description. For basic accountancy and accounting, I figured out that most of the questions were related to capital structure and capital budgeting. However, this again, if you think that accountancy is something which you are not able to do, or there are not much questions being asked in last 3 years, 4 years, what you can do is you can just understand the concept, what capital structure is, right? What are the different capital structure theories being given by different researchers? So I think this much information will be sufficient. Okay, and rest is prepare well for the tourism specific topics which are there. Okay, was I able to answer your question, ma'am? Okay, I think was I able to answer it? Not. If not, then you can please let me know.
Is there any other questions?
Ma'am, I would like to ask one question. Ma'am, while attempting the questions for NET exam, how did you focus on your time management, and for tourism paper specifically, did you attempt those questions which you knew, and then later on you attempted at the last which you were not familiar with, like for the attempt which you cleared JRF? So how did you manage your time to score maximum marks for?
Okay, so TBH, I don't remember exactly what was my strategy then, but yes, what I generally follow is what I do is I just have a quick look at the paper. Okay, so I read the questions. Okay, what is there? What is there? What are the things which I don't know? And then I just have an idea of the entire paper, and then I start with one, two, three, four. There are no such things in my mind that I will do things which I know or which I don't know. If I have doubts in certain questions, I put a circle mark on it. Okay, that I'll come back to it later. If I know an answer, I do it. If I do not know, or if I have some confusion, I circle it and I then come back to it again. Okay, so you do things that you know first after reading or going scrutinizing the paper at one go. Start with things you know. You do not know, circle it, and then come back to it later. I think then you have time to remember that, okay, fine, I think I had read something related to it. So I think that will definitely help you up.
Okay, ma'am. And ma'am, we have exam in few days. But in this month or next month, the date will be announced.
Hmm.
So the final strategy, like I have done the previous year papers as well, and I have
Hmm.
made my own notes also.
Okay.
So I need to do revision of those notes and keep practicing the mock test for
Yes,
exam.
yes, yes. I think keep revising your notes. I remember I used to, have this highlighter, and then whenever I had to just quickly rush on the notes, I used to just read those highlighted texts because I know that this is what I need to remember. I need not to remember the entire sentence or what. I just need to know the keywords. So quickly go through those highlighted text, and then definitely yes, practice mock papers, mock tests. That is going to be of great help.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Welcome. It was lovely interacting with all of you. Thank you, Krishnan, for giving me this, for inviting me, and Ashraf if he's here.
Inaz,
With
I would
them.
like to tell one point that I missed yesterday.
Okay.
Since the student was asking about the last minute preparations, there
Hmm.
was one trick that I remember that I used very often and that I continue to use. So, see, many times we don't know the answer, but we know that which are not the answers. So
Ah.
there are four options, and many a times what we do is that's the how I mean that's the reason how we imply deductive logic. So
Right.
why I say that it is important to cover every unit is maybe you don't know the right answer, but you know which is the wrong. So that practice you can, I mean, all of the students can employ, and most of the time it's like using the crease in T20 matches. So you have some spare room. So once you get out of it, then it's like almost most of the time these tricks work. So you can employ all these tricks also. Thank you.
Right. Elimination method. Yes, are you? You're right.
Yes, elimination. Yeah.